have you, Philip. 6 days into Black History Month, America is facing another instance of casual and vile racism. Except this time, once again, it's coming from the President of the United States. Donald Trump shared a video depicting his predecessor, the first and only Black president and First Lady, as apes. For centuries, that depiction has been weaponized against Black people to dehumanize them, to portray them as animals, beasts, and unequal to whites. It's been used to justify atrocities from slavery and lynchings to Jim Crow and, yes, contemporary racism. Now, comparing Black people to apes made it easy to convince white Americans that Blacks don't deserve even the most basic of human rights. And so, cruelty and brutality were justified. The inevitable consequence? The public, extrajudicial torture of another human. Victims were tied to trees. The killers cut off body parts to distribute to the crowd as souvenirs. The Jim Crow Museum describes that whites considered these brutal events necessary to equal the brutality of the victim, or, in other words, treatment befitting of an animal. The museum mentions that whites would argue that slavery was necessary because it suppressed the animalistic tendencies of Black people. The brute stereotype was particularly prominent in content warning about rape threats against white women. Now, in the early 1900s, consider some of the language in the culture. Writers described Black people as the tempters of Eve, who were born with racial instincts and sexual madness and excess. One even wrote that emancipation led Black people from being a chattel to be bought and sold into a beast to be feared and guarded. Another book described them as half child, half animal. In other words, a predator. It also describes the rape of a white woman this way, quote, "A single tiger springs and the black claws of the beast sank into the soft white throat." Lawmakers would later use these types of brute rape tropes to oppose anti-lynching bills. It wasn't just prominent in America also. It was the theme in Hitler's writings when describing minority groups that he found to be inferior. He labeled Blacks, for example, as half apes. Later in the Civil Rights era, white supremacists used ape-like caricatures of Black men threatening white women in their propaganda. And of course, in the modern era, during Barack Obama's candidacy and presidency, racists passed out monkey t-shirts, monkey dolls appeared at Republican rallies, and a viral image labeled Air Force One as Watermelon One, featuring the face